Hi and welcome to Mind123. I'm Chantal and today I'm speaking with Sean Hall, the founder and chief energist of wellbeing company Energx. Sean, welcome along. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Now we're talking about a recipe for joy. Start by telling us what are the different ways that joy can appear in our lives?
Well, I find that joy is often associated with an element of connection, right? And sometimes that connection can be actually with yourself or it can be with others. And I did some research a couple of years back where we really looked at the essence behind connection. And what we found is that sometimes you can have a little bit of joy with someone that's almost like a complete stranger, which could be just a shared moment. You know, like when you're in a crowd and you witness something funny and you see someone else sort of see the same thing happen, right? Or you can actually have something which is, I guess, like a community or a social event, you know, where you've come together with people that you care about. Or in other aspects, it could be something that's just a very simple thing of actually being, you know, by yourself, you know, in nature somewhere, like somewhere beautiful like this, you know, where you're just being appreciative, I guess, of that moment. And so that connection and that sense of sort of presence in that moment is key.
And I believe that you actually came across this discovery a little bit by accident. Tell us about that.
I totally did. So when we first started to design our energy intelligence programs, basically we took a whole bunch of people and trained them up to increase their level of energy intelligence and grow their score. On average, what we saw was in 6 weeks, we saw people get a 30% increase, you know, which was quite astounding, I thought, to start with. But then there were some sort of outliers that got even higher. So the highest we got was a 120% increase in energy intelligence over that time. And we really went to them and we said, you know, what are you doing? Like, how did that happen? And really tried to unpick, you know, what were the, I guess, the experiences they created or the decisions they made that enabled them to get that result. And what we found is that what they seem to be intuitively doing was something that we're calling now life hacking, which is about combining the F's, so the fuel, fire, feeling, and focus in our energy intelligence framework into experiences, right? So a 2F experience would be something like mindful eating, you know, where you're present and in the moment and you're just enjoying the food. You might be focusing on the sensory aspects, how it tastes, looks, smells, the textures, and just sort of having that moment for yourself and nourishing. You know, normally we inhale our food, so really nourishing yourself. And then a 3F experience, you might add a social element to that. A 4F experience, adding into focus, might have a shared goal or a sense of achievement aligned to it. And especially when they described 3 and 4F experiences, they used the word joy. And we thought, wow, this is just incredible, right? Because we thought sometimes those moments seem to happen randomly, you know, spontaneously, but what if actually we could consciously engineer those, you know, and create more moments of joy in our life? How awesome would that be?
Hence creating a recipe for it.
Absolutely.
Okay, are there any examples that you can share with us around that?
Yeah, so there's one that we do quite often is really about people almost creating the conditions for creativity, right? So when you think about our minds working at our best, you know, we look at the 4Fs here and we go, okay, well, if we want to be creative, we want to switch our brain on, then we start with fuel and we go, okay, let's go for a walk or something like that, some sort of physical activity just to warm us up. It could be something really random and spontaneous, like dancing or something like that, which is actually also scientifically shown to help with creativity. Then from a fire perspective, it's around shared purpose, right? So who are we doing this for, right? So we know, you know, we're in a good headspace, we know why we're doing it. Then from a feeling perspective, it's really knowing the people in the room and feeling safe with those people, feeling like they all have diverse strengths, but that they all ultimately care about the same shared goal. And then that's the final part with the focus part, right, is going, actually, what do we want to achieve, right? And so in a work or context, that this becomes a really great way to increase the productivity of teams as well as create, you know, great moments where everyone actually really loves the work they do as well.
So when it comes to actually creating that recipe for joy that you're talking about, we really do need to look back to that 4F framework that we've gone through previously.
Totally, yeah. So if you can combine, as I said, 3 or 4 of those together, and it becomes a relatively easy process too, because we will naturally be stronger in one of those, right? And it's just going, okay, well, how do I add, if I'm strong in fire, how do I add a social element to that? Okay, I need to find people who actually are connected to that the same way, they care about it the same way I do, you know, and then I want to add a focus part to it. Okay, what do we think we can achieve? What impact can we make? You know, and then being able to celebrate that when it's achieved.
Well, Sean, thank you so much for talking us through that recipe for joy. I think that is something that we can all implement into our lives.
I hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.